you can live a life in flow where your deepest heart's desires become reality. At Set to Love, we offer strategies and ideas on how you can stay out of crazy town. See, your human experience is meant to be lived with meaning, purpose, and creativity. You are here to contribute through your essence. We are best friends, moms, entrepreneurs, and above all, find our flow in assisting you to find yours. We come together weekday mornings to bring you ideas to fall deeper in love with your life and the journey that you are on. Take what works and ditch the rest, and always stay set to love. Thank you for being a part of this community. We're all designed to live in flow. So let's go. $11:11, make a wish. It is a synchronistic day, and today on Set to Love, we have a special guest, Dr. Katie Henry. She's a doctor of physical therapy. She's an intuitive business coach, a spiritual teacher, and a brain health coach. And wow, she is super powerful. Welcome back to another episode of Set to Love. I am Eva Payne here with my best friend, Shelly, who is babysitting her granddaughter, Harper, today. Hi, Shelly. Good morning. And good morning, Katie. Good morning.
Good morning. So excited for today and to hear Katie speak. It's going to be great.
I cannot wait. Let's bring her up. Katie, Tell us about yourself and what brings you to Set to Love today.
Well, there's a lot of different things that I do. And when we were talking and connecting before this, I think the reason that I am a part of this today is to help share from my experience and knowledge on the ways that we can tap into our intuition, our hearts, and flow into a space where we just get to be the highest expression of ourselves and to use that to serve other people. When I look at my journey and path and all the different things that I've done, it has always circled back to how can I serve? How can I help someone? What can I do to bring a little bit of joy into someone's life today? So I hope that that's something that I can do today and, to be of service to anyone who's here and listening.
Oh, I'm so excited to have you here. Yay. Okay, tell us, Katie, this day, 11:11, I remember being in freshman in high school, and I would have my watch set to 11:11, which was English, and it would go off every morning. And finally, 6 months in, my English teacher's like, Eva, why do you have this alarm that goes off? And I said, because you're supposed to make a wish at 11:11. And I love how just down the road, that was silly, but just down the road, synchronicities happen and they come up in our lives. And I'm curious from your standpoint, what synchronicities are and how can we use them to sort of guide us in our lives and the choices that we make?
So I think I love the story about the alarm, and I've done that too. And it's really these numbers, they're angel numbers, and it's this connection to the divine God, source, universe, whatever you want to call it. And it's the same thing with these synchronistic events. It's this reminder that I believe that there's this intuitive knowing within all of us, and sometimes synchronicities happen because it's a reminder of oh yeah, I knew that on some level. And so I think that synchronicities happen in our lives for a reminder that, number one, we're always supported and that there's something that we always knew. And when something happens, you're just like, oh my gosh, I can't believe it. And it's well, on some level, you actually knew that was going to happen. And so I think that a lot of us can take a step back and look at our lives and see those synchronistic events or those moments that we're like, wow, I call them magic. It's magic, but it's not actually magic. You knew in some level in your being, in your mind, in your heart, in your gut, in your soul, that it was going to happen and it was meant to. And so those synchronicities are, the manifestation, if you want to call it that, of the intuitive knowing that we have within us. And it's about giving yourself permission to allow those experiences to happen in your life. And then more synchronicities will start to show up for you when you actually allow yourself to trust the intuitive knowing that's within you. And then all of a sudden you're like, oh my gosh, how do all these things just keep lining up into place in my life? And I think it's meant to be that way. Our lives are meant to be enjoyed and exciting and magical. Even in the craziest circumstances, like a lot can happen for us.
Wow. That's super powerful.
I'm curious. I'm sorry. I'm just curious though, that's the first start of it when you're saying to look for synchronicities for yourself, but how does someone know if it's about someone else? How do you tap into that?
So I think that that's a really interesting question, because I think it depends on who you're asking it to. I think a lot of times for women, I'll speak to women and I'll speak to myself personally. We are very good at trying to find things for other people and not necessarily for ourselves, whether that's, an advice to give to someone else. And I do this a lot as a coach. I give people things that I'm like, I really need that for myself. And so the reason why I'm saying to start with you is if you can start to notice synchronicities for you, it's so much easier to do it for other people. But if you are able to identify it for another person, you should definitely be able to identify it for yourself. But we were actually talking about this before. Like I do channeling and a lot of intuitive work. It's actually significantly easier for me to do it for other people because I remove kind of emotion, my mind, the space of, oh, what could this mean for this person? And I just like let the message flow through. So when you're talking about synchronicities, actually, I think it's easier to find them for other people because you're allowing the message to be the message and let the message flow through. So when you are working on to be able to strengthen it for yourself, it will actually make it even more powerful for other people, if that makes sense.
Yes, it's so cool. Very
cool.
It
really does. So Katie, I'm curious from you, what does it mean for someone to live in flow? What does that look like if you were to help someone try to do that or define that for someone? What does that look like for you?
I love talking about flow state. So flow to me is like everything syncs up, there's synchronicities, it clicks, like everything is just working, right? It's actually the natural state that we desire to be in. So my work as a physical therapist and like my initial area of expertise is in children development, the brain, all of that. And I think that a lot of us can look at, and it's so perfect, Shelley, that you have a baby on your lap right now, that we can look at children and see how they actually really trust themselves a lot more than we do. They let themselves be in flow. They like run, play, jump. There's no fear. There's no like anything blocking them because they haven't fully developed their ego and their conscious mind and all that. They're actually living more in that space of intuition and trust and also just enjoying life more. So how we tap into flow is to tap into this like childlike wonder, curiosity, and awe and approach to life. But I believe it's also a natural state that we're brought into the world to have and to be in. And then if we want to talk about neuroscience in the brain, flow state in the brain is this space of creativity. It's this space where we get to actually have a lot more neural connections, the right and left sides of our brain working together, the ability to kind of lose sense of space and time. And this has happened to all of us. Like you're doing something, you're so in it that you're like, oh my gosh, 3 hours went by and you have no idea that happened. And it's just like you collapse time and all of a sudden boom, it happened there. A beautiful example of flow is a surfer. Like you work. I mean, I'm not a surfer at all, but like you paddle to get out onto the wave and then you catch the wave and then you're riding the wave and it's like nothing else is happening. You're just there. So not only is flow state this this natural state that we have and the space that we, came into in our lives, it's a space of increased creativity, increased brain and neural activity. Your physiological body is in this space of total like rest and flow and ease, and your parasympathetic nervous system is actually like taking over control. So you're not in your fight or flight or freeze or any of that kind of stuff. But it's also this space where you have like clarity, answers, ease, but it's truly being present in the exact moment, because like everything else kind of fades away. And so I think that it's not something that will be able to happen every single moment of every single day, but it's something that a lot of us can access to. And I think the biggest thing is getting out of your head and into your body and being more present with like what's actually going on. And from that presence, coming into life or approaching life, like I was saying before, from this childlike wonder and curiosity and space of creativity. I think a lot of us are so serious and driven. And this is coming from a, by the way, total recovering perfectionist overachiever person. So like, I've been there and it shows up. But if we just let some of that stuff go for a second and actually remember that we should be enjoying our lives, we can tap into flow so much more. It's a lot easier than we make it. If we just got to like get out of our head and the planning and the doing and be more in the space of being.
So how do we do that? Like, can I just ask you about this being and doing thing? So a lot of people talk about being and doing. What is that even? Activating this flow, being with it? Like, I hear it, but for someone who is just really needs a plan or like some boxes to check so they can understand it from outside of like a philosophical point of view, what would you suggest to someone?
So the first thing I tell pretty much everyone that I've ever worked with or talked about this kind of topic is create a joy list. So 5 to 10 things that bring you joy that will give you into that like childlike space of fun, pleasure, whatever it is. So it's a lot of times it can be a song, music, a person, a photo, a quote, a book, anything that can really flip your energy right away into this space of joy. Because joy is one of the highest like frequencies that we can be at. And so the higher your frequency and vibration you're in, the more you can be in flow state. Another way to do it is I have a meditation for this, and I'm not going to make you guys do a meditation, but it's weird, it's uncomfortable, but it's really powerful. So you breathe in and you hold your breath, but you also like contract your body. So I have people push their hands in, and you push as hard as you can till like you're shaking.
While you're holding your breath?
While you're holding your breath, you cross your eyes and you look up. This is what I'm saying. It's weird and crazy. But when you cross your eyes and look up, you're accessing your pineal gland, which is actually right behind your third eye. And that's the kind of spirit molecule space. And it actually taps into DMT, which is kind of creates this cascade of you basically being able to connect to something outside of yourself, out of body experience, flow state, connect to God, source, whatever you believe. So if you did that and took 3 deep breaths where you breathe in, hold your breath till it's like kind of uncomfortable, cross your eyes and go like this and push, push, push. And then like relax and let everything go and let your body just kind of melt, and then take a breath. Like you will be gasping for air. It's going to be uncomfortable. And then like, okay, calm down. And then do that again. And if you did that 5 times, so this will take a minute, you're going to come out of that in this space of like, whoa. You may even notice, like, I didn't even do it fully, but your hands are tingly a little bit more. You're a lot more present in your body. And that is kind of the start of being able to tap into flow. So breath work is a really powerful way to do it. The other thing I like to tell people to do to get out of their head and into their body is you just move your arms, your head, and you can say gibberish. And what it does is it's just like, blah, 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 but what that does is it gets you out of this space of overthinking and a lot more space of presence. So those are 3 very simple things that you could literally do in less than 5 minutes to get into a space of not just flow, but more creativity, more presence. more, connecting to what I believe you guys are having, and the intention of this show is into your heart, into that space and energy of love that will help you be present and help access more of this space of flow, which really is this space of ease, synchronicity, like we were talking about, and where things just start to work. I think so many of us, and I mean, by the way, guys, everything I'm talking about, I work on myself. But some of us have this joy in it being hard and it being a struggle and like pushing through things. And I've found that too. And it's like, what if it didn't have to be so hard? What if it could be this space of flow and this space of ease? Like that actually is what our body desires and our energy desires and our being desires. So just allow it and just see what happens. Like you don't have to be in flow all the time, but if you can create it a little bit more, you're going to be like, ooh, that feels good. I want to do that more often.
Do you think those practices, though, when you really are, I think another important thing is if somebody really is in like a panic state or, just really not in a, we call it crazy town. Do those practices help also as far as when you're, to really change your brain thought when you're, because last week, I had a day where I wished I could have tapped into something. And I know there's other people out there when you think, I just don't have time for this right now. And I wish I didn't have to wait for tomorrow to be a new day to start over. I'm wondering, no, seriously, because
I totally get it.
Right? It's so hindering. And I think that what you just said is really important. And when you're in a calm state and you're willing to try those things, but do those things work? Or do you have something that because the brain, that when you really are in crazy town and you're there, what can someone do? I think that would be super helpful.
Absolutely. And I can say it's something I've had to use myself because I can get really anxious and overwhelmed. And I can feel my nervous system responding. And when we're in that space, like we actually cannot access our logical brain, and our frontal lobe is turned off, and we're only responding from our amygdala and the fear center of our brain. So it's very real, and it's happened to me. The most important thing is to pause and take a few deep breaths. Like, you don't have to do the crazy, breath that I was explaining. Just some deep breaths, and understand that you are not your emotions. You are feeling anxious. You are feeling overwhelmed, but that's not you. Don't label it as that. Don't tag it as that. And the other thing that's really helpful for me, and that has been really helpful for a lot of people that I've worked with that are experiencing what you just described, because I think it's super common, especially right now in the world, is that anxiety and excitement actually have the same physiological response in our body as far as our heart rate going, racing thoughts. Sometimes we get sweaty, we get nervous, like all of that kind of stuff happens in both experiences. So all you have to do is change the meaning in your mind, because our thoughts actually have, I don't want to say control, but they create our feelings and our emotions. So when you're feeling anxious, just stop, take a few deep breaths. And if the deep breaths don't work, seriously, the gibberish moving around for 30 seconds, it's basically like a blank slate in your brain. And it's like, I don't even know what those thoughts were, but it kind of clears it. So that helps a lot. I tell people to do this all the time. And if you're like in public and you're like, I can't do that, go to the bathroom and just, or just like, let it go. But when you are able to do that, it actually clears your ability to think. And then you can say like, okay, wait, I am not my anxiety. I'm not these feelings. I'm just feeling this way. And you know what? It's probably showing up because I'm doing something different and something that's scary and something that's new. And that's exciting. And I'm actually proud of myself that I'm getting outside my comfort zone and I'm doing something different, because a lot of the times anxiety shows up just from fear of the unknown, and we don't know how to respond or what to do and all that. And so then you can say like, wait a second, actually, this is cool. I'm doing something new and different. I can be excited about that. And you can kind of move that feeling, but the anxiety isn't always a bad thing. And you can use it as just a radar for yourself and just say, okay, wait, like what is my anxiety telling me? And my anxiety is good because it's kind of setting off an alarm of something I need to pay attention to, or something I can shift, or something I can change. But again, it's like, it's not you are not your anxiety. It's just something you're experiencing. So you can kind of flip it so that it doesn't overwhelm you. But from my personal experience, all that helps. But the biggest thing is the breath, because it stops the fear alarm that's going off in your brain, and it allows you to actually think. Because when you're in overwhelm and anxiety and it's just you can't even think. And I know that feeling like so well. So the other thing is, you're not alone in this. Like, just because you're feeling anxious, you're not the only person that feels literally anxiety it's not a bad thing. Same thing as fear. It's not a bad thing. It keeps us alive. Like, if we didn't get anxious about stuff, we would run off and do crazy things and probably just run in the middle of the street and get hit by a car, right? So like, it's a good thing to have. It's just, we don't want to let it overwhelm us and take control over ourselves and our lives and our brains too.
I think that was a great example. I'm going to try it next time, seriously, because just knowing a way to redirect that, or just to confront it and say, I see you. Basically that's what you're saying.
Yep.
To yourself. Okay, I see you. I know you're there. And guess what? I'm going to handle this a little different today. And I'm going to shake myself about, and I'm going to start over and really try that. So thank you so much.
Yes. You're welcome. Dr. Katie Henry, thank you so much for coming on Set to Love. I know you have another engagement coming up soon. I'm going to be a part of it here really, really soon. I'm so excited. And where can people find you? If people want to learn more about you and your work, your intuitive coaching, your health coaching, and the work that you're doing, your channeling, all the fun stuff, where can people connect with you?
My website and social media handles are all Dr. Katie Henry. So it's drkatiehenry.com. Instagram, Facebook is Dr. Katie Henry. So yeah, just reach out to me there, and, shoot me an email or a message, and I'm happy to connect. And thank you guys so much for having me on here. I'm so excited for what you're doing and creating in this beautiful movement. So I'm grateful that we got to have this conversation today.
Yes. Thank you so much for being a part of our show. It means a lot to us, and your beautiful energy. And now we're connected. So that's great. I'm so excited about that.
Yeah.
Thanks everyone for coming to another episode of Set to Love. It is awesome to have you here. If you have questions for us, you can send it email settolovepodcast@gmail.com, and you can find us on the web at settolove.com. We are here every weekday morning, 8:30 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. We love you. We'll see you tomorrow. Have a great day.